I'm Barbie and welcome to Fab Food with Barbie. As we step into this next year, I've been reflecting on all of the things that have gone by in the past year. Hasn't this year just zoomed by? It has for me. And I've been learning a lot. And one of the things that I've learned is how to take better care of your temple. Do you remember when you were a child and you were told to eat something green? Or don't get it from that table until you finish your vegetables? Green represented a healthy choice, but to children, green represented yucky. Today we're bringing green back, and we're making it yummy. And our bodies are gonna love us for it. We're cooking greens, so let's get started.
We're gonna start with my pan sauteed greens first. It's my version of a Brazilian recipe that I love, only we're gonna add a little heat to it because I like spicy stuff. So what we do is we take our very well washed greens. In this case, we're using red chard. We're going to cut out the red veiny part. You see that? The reason why is because we want to cut that down into fine pieces because we're going to cook the stems. We're starting with the red chard first. I love this because it's got a big red vein that runs through the green leafiness of it. What we're going to do first is we're going to score out the red vein. The easiest way to do it is to lay the vein side up, just so that you can get at it. Why we want to do that? Because it's dense and it's a lot harder and thicker than the green part. It's going to take a little bit longer to cook, but it's definitely packed with a lot of vitamins in it, so we want to save it and add it to our dish. Simple. The color is just beautiful too. It's one of my favorite greens. And once you get the little red veins cut up, you want to take the rest of the leaf and just rough chop. It doesn't have to be special as long as it's bite-sized. The smaller they're cut, the easier they are to corral in your pan and cook down. So we take our pan and we put it on top of the stove at high heat. We get the pan really hot, and to that we're going to add our olive oil. To the olive oil we're going to add some chili oil. I like a little heat, not a lot, but just enough to give it a little punch. So once we get our pan good and hot, we're going to take a turkey leg and plunk it right in there. I've already seasoned the turkey leg with salt and pepper. So what we want to do generally when we're searing something is get good color on it. At this point we're really just trying to extract as much flavor from the turkey leg as we can. So we've got a good brown on the turkey leg, which says we've done all we can do with this leg. We've got a lot of flavor out of it. What we're going to do next is remove it from the pan. We're going to save it for something a little bit later. My next step is to add some onions to the hot oil that's sitting here. To that we're going to add the garlic. You don't want to add the garlic too soon because it'll start turning brown and it'll get bitter and it won't taste good. I'm going to stir those around. So now our onions are getting soft. Now we're going to add the greens. I'm going to add the stems in first. Remember the red stems? Just to get them to cook down just a little bit before we go ahead and throw in the green leafy. Right now the red stems have cooked down, so it's time to add the greens. Whenever you're cutting these up, it may look like a big pile, but what happens is they cook down and they shrink up. So if you've got a big pile like this, know that you're going to add half of that once you're done. And the best thing to do is just toss them with your tongs, toss them around until they start getting coated with all the stuff that was in the pan. I'm going to add them to a plate of white rice. If you wanted to make this even healthier, you could actually add them to a plate of wild rice, brown rice. You can add a little salsa as an accompaniment. Right there, simple. Beautiful plate. Now we're going to do our collard greens southern style, but with a healthy twist on them. Like I said, instead of using the pork or the ham hock or the salt pork, whatever it is that we're used to seeing, we're going to use a smoked turkey leg. We went out and purchased some great smoked turkey legs, but you can do it yourself. It just saves time this way. The first thing that we do is we take a pan, heat it on high heat. We're going to puddle some olive oil in it, just like we did the previous recipe. And then we're going to add some onions. The onions are going to cook, get soft, translucent. To that, we're adding garlic. Smelling really good in the kitchen already. Okay, we're going to whip that around. At this point, you can add a pinch of salt, a pinch of pepper. Nice, all the flavors are married. We start adding greens. The curly mustard greens, the collard greens. The greens are getting well coated. They're starting to cook down. You can add more incrementally if you have to. Do it quickly though so you get an even cook on all of them. Now earlier today I poached a turkey wing. Poaching is really just boiling something down in hot water, salt and pepper. And what we did was we got some flavor in this broth. The broth is what we're going to use to cook the greens in. So our next step is to actually add the greens that we cooked down with the onions and the garlic and all the spices into the pot. And here's where the smoked turkey leg comes in. We're going to add some extra flavor and it's going to be nice and smoky. This is a good time to add vinegar. In this case I'm adding some balsamic. Now inside the pot is the big turkey leg, the greens, and the broth, all married together. We're going to put a lid on this, lower the heat, and simmer it for about 30 minutes. That's going to give it time to get the smoky flavor that we're after. Our greens are done. They've been cooking for about 30 minutes, so it's time to plate. Oh, and they smell wonderful too. You can smell the garlic. I can smell the onions, and I can definitely smell that smoky flavor. So there you are, right there, southern greens, collard greens, with mustard greens added, healthy and Barbie style.
Thank you for joining me here today at Fab Food with Barbie. As we step into this new year, may you be inspired to find better ways to take care of your temple, and may I encourage you to be thinking about bringing green back. Please come back to beautycomport.com, and until then, make sure nobody goes hungry.